Hello everyone, welcome to the video. Salt here. For anyone that doesn't know me or is new to the channel, I'm an LR4 with over 5,000 hours in the game, and my goal is to put guides and build videos out there to help players have an easier time in Warframe. So for this video, we're going to be doing Harrow Prime. Now, a little disclaimer about my builds is that they're usually focused around the 1 to 4 hour steel path endurance mark. I have done level cap. I don't really enjoy going to level cap too much just because you're very limited on what you can do. So I normally just do 1 to 4 hour survivals or 1 to 4 hour disruptions. So, okay, let's get into this Harrow Prime build. All right, so let's go over his abilities first. His first ability, or his passive rather, gives him double the amount of overshield that anyone else can get. So double cap basically. So he's able to have a large amount of overshields, and if you look at his, now granted this is modded, let me see if I can go to a blank config here. Okay, I do have 2 shield shards on here, so that's about 450. But so if you minus 1190 or minus 450 from 1190, he still has a very large base shield amount. So he's pretty easy to build around shields, and that's what we're going to be doing on the Harrow build here. And plus he has that passive that gives him double over shields. Okay, his first ability we're actually going to be subsuming out for Pillage. Pillage is actually quite similar to his first ability, except it's 360, it strips enemies' armor, it gives you the shields and overshields in a very efficient way. And that's why I feel like Pillage is just a straight up upgrade from what his actual 1 is. His 2, Penance, you're going to like slap your back a couple of times and you're going to take away all of your shields. That's important to know because that's a very dangerous time for Harrow. If you're going to die on Harrow, you're usually going to die after you penance yourself. So you'll take away all of your shields, and you're going to give yourself a gigantic fire rate and reload speed bonus. Also, you're going to give yourself lifesteal, and allies within your radius also get that lifesteal as well. Now, the lifesteal portion of this, we're not really too crazy about. I mean, it's nice, but our Harrow is going to be a shield and adaptation Harrow. We are not going for health and armor. So the lifesteal is great. It's nice if your teammate gets it, but for you, you're really more looking at it for the reload speed and fire rate. His 3, Thurible, is going to cause him to start like channeling this thing, and as he's channeling it, it's going to start counting up. And whenever you're happy with the amount of energy that you could possibly get per kill, you stop it. So let's say you were to stop it, it starts counting up and you stop it at 20. That means that per kill, you're going to get 20 energy. And on headshots, you're going to get quadruple that. So you're going to get 80 energy. So it's just important that you have to press it twice. You press it once to start, like the count up, and then you have to press it again whenever you're happy with how much energy you want to get. But as it's counting up, it's also taking energy. So you need energy to be able to cast this. His 4th, Covenant, I really like to view this as, in my head, as kind of like a big pizza pie with 3 slices. It's just cut into 3 giant slices. And 1/3 of that slice is your invulnerability, and 2/3 of that slice is your giant crit buff. Okay? So Covenant is not 100% crit buff. It's only a crit buff 2/3 of the time. And the same thing with the invulnerability. It's only invulnerability 1/3 of the time. So the first 1/3 is going to be the invulnerability, and the last 2/3 is going to be the crit buff. So, but this is going to give you a gigantic crit buff when that portion is up. It's additive crit, And you get a little bit more for headshots as well. Well, actually, you get quite a bit more for headshots. And the invulnerability is full invulnerability. So very, very strong ability there. And that's pretty much it for his abilities. I think if there's anything else there, no, okay. We're going to get into his mods next. So we're going to be going for Umbral Intensify for ability strength. Something to know is that Pillage, to be able to strip enemies' armor, that actually requires a very, very high ability strength value. And in fact, we don't have it on our build currently. And that's okay, because we have it in conditionals that we will eventually get up to it within like a couple of minutes in the game. So like multi-augmented, I'm going to skip a little bit ahead to multi-augmented here. Multi-augmented, once we get to about 200 kills, then our pillage is fully stripping. So, you know, yes, for the first like 2 or 3 minutes when you're not at 200 kills, pillage is not going to be full stripping. But after that time, for the rest of the hour, 2, 3, 4 hours that you're in, pillage will be working completely fine. There's ways to make pillage work immediately, but you're going to be losing out on some utility for yourself. So, I mean, those ways will make pillage feel better for the first 2 minutes, but then for the next 4 hours, you may feel worse because you don't have those utility items. And that's why I like building it out in the way I do. Okay, sorry for like kind of skipping there. So Umbral Intensify is going to be the ability strength that we need there. Primed Vigor is going to give us shield capacity and health. Now, Primed Vigor is the best in this slot if you have Primed Vigor. Primed Vigor, when you get the chance, it's a login reward. And when you get the chance to pick up the mods for the login reward, Primed Vigor is very niche. It's good on shield warframes like Hildren and Shield Harrow. And it's also good, weirdly, on Inaros, which has no shields. So most people might not pick up Prime Vigor, and that's okay. If you don't have Prime Vigor, I'll tell you what the other option is here. I'm going to type in shield, and I believe it's Augur Accord. You can go with Augur Accord for 70 shield capacity. And you also get that little effect where you get some energy converted to shields when you spend abilities. And you're going to be spending a lot of abilities on this build. And if you don't have Augur Accord, the other option would be Boreal's Hatred, which is also not too bad. But if you have Prime Vigor is going to beat them out simply because you still want a little bit of health. You don't want to die from a random toxin proc. And so like even if you're a very shield heavy frame, it's good to have a little bit of health. So that's why Prime Vigor would beat out Augur Accord or Boreal's Hatred if you have them. Prime Continuity is going to be ability duration. Primed Flow is going to increase your energy pool by 185%. Now, this seems a little bit weird. It seems like, well, why do we need more energy on a frame that can restore energy? And it's because a lot of his abilities are very, very expensive, especially since the next one we're going to be using is Blind Rage, which reduces our ability efficiency. So a lot of his abilities are very, very expensive. And Thurible, the one that actually allows us to make more energy, costs a crap load of energy to actually cast it. And so Flow makes it way, way more comfortable to actually use Harrow. I'm a min-maxer, and I really tried to use Harrow without Flow, and it was horrible. I suggest always use Flow. It makes him so much more comfortable. Just because everything is very expensive. You no longer have to worry too much with Flow, so that's why you use it. Blind Rage is going to give us a gigantic strength buff. It's going to make our abilities cost a little bit more, but that's okay with Flow. Adaptation is going to be our damage reduction. You always need damage reductions. A mistake I see players make is they go, oh, my frame has so much armor. I have, 2,000 armor. Well, how much health do you have? I have only 300, base health. Well, you're still going to get one shot. Or they do the opposite, where they go, I have 2,000 health, but I have, just the base armor. Well, you're still going to get 1 or 2 shot. So you need damage reduction in any build that's not a rolling guard or shield gate focused build. So on the shield build, our damage reduction is adaptation because armor does not work for shields. So for a shield frame, you're going to use shields and adaptation. Whereas with an armor frame or with a health frame, you would use armor. So it would be health and armor or shields and adaptation. Okay, next we have primed redirection. This is going to give us a gigantic amount of shield capacity, 180. If you don't have the primed version, because I think this came with Barrow Katir. If you don't have the primed version, just use regular redirection. That's fine. Next, we're going to use Augur Secrets. Gives us a little bit more ability strength, and it gives us that nice little ability where some of our energy spent is converted to shields. For the aura, we're going to use Corrosive Projection. This is going to reduce enemies' armor by a certain level. And that level is going to let your pillage reach its stripping point easier. If you didn't have Corrosive Projection, you would need to spend a lot more into ability strength. So Corrosive Projection makes it where you don't have to do that. Now, the big thing I had to test this morning, if I go to the Exilus slot here, was powered. And it's kind of stupid because it's just an Exilus mod. Most Exilus mods are kind of meh anyway. But I wanted to check Power Drift over Coaction Drift. So Coaction Drift would technically increase Corrosive Projection's armor stripping reduction ability by a little bit. And Power Drift increases your ability strength, which kind of does about the same thing by increasing pillage. And I wanted to see if there was a big difference on them, and there wasn't. 220 kills got Power Drift to fully strip, and 220 kills got Coaction Drift to fully strip. And out of both of them, you're going to get more value out of ability strength than you will this stripping ability with Coaction Drift boosting it. So that's why Power Drift is going to beat Coaction Drift. Okay, for the Arcanes, first one and the most obvious one is Multi-Augmented. This is a gigantic ability strength buff. I did the math one time. I think it's 60%. Where's it 70? I think it's 60%. I think it's 60% ability strength buff when you fully calculate all 250 stacks. So that's a great arcane to use for Harrow that really wants ability strength. And then the second one here is going to be Multi-Efficiency, which is kind of a little weird pick. And this is an optional pick too. I really like it though. So as long as you have shields, you get 36% ability duration. I think that's great. I love using Multi-Efficiency on here. But at the end of the day, it is only 36%. If you have something else that you really like using for an arcane, you can use it. A lot of the damage ones would be really good. So like, let's say you wanted to use a primary as your main damage source. You just type in primary, and there's a few good options here. There's this one here on critical hit. You get more fire rate for your primary weapons. There's the one you get more crit chance. That could be good as well. So you can use this secondary arcane as more of like a damage arcane to boost your damage a bit. But I personally really like Multi-Efficiency, but this is kind of a flex slot, whatever you feel like it. And that is how to build Harrow Prime as a shield frame. If you wanted to build him as a health and armor frame, there's a few pros and cons to it. The pro would be you would actually make use of this lifesteal on his penance. The con would be that it would cost, as you see here, we're already using one Umbral Forma to fit everything. For a health and armor frame, you would need to use two Umbral Formas to fit everything. Because for the health and armor frame, you would switch Prime Vigor and Prime Redirection into the other two Umbral mods. You would flip Adaptation into Health Conversion to get a large stack of armor. And you would need to flip Multi-Efficiency into Blessing, Arcane Blessing, for a large health bonus. So you're making a few concessions, switching it to a health and armor build. There's some pros, there's some cons. I really like him as a shield build. It just, his passive of getting double overshields just really combos nicely with spamming pillage and replacing your shields, and using adaptation, which works on shields, unlike armor does not. So, okay, that is how to build out Harrow Prime. I'm going to also explain some externals that make him even better. So let's go over his Archon shards first. And his Archon shards are all, what I have set for him are all optional. you can completely change Archon shards. None of these are actually required for him. So in this build here, if you didn't like that your pillage didn't immediately start able to strip, you can go to your Archon shards and be like, I'm going to put all red shards on here. And you can flip them all to red ability strength shards, and bam, your pillage is full stripping right away. But I'll try to explain why I don't like that and why I like the utility options better. So pillage, you are going to be spamming that ability. That is going to be an ability you press like every 6 seconds probably. And it's not a very long cast time, but because you're pressing it so much, it kind of adds up. So I like using the yellow shards for casting speed. So I use 3 of them myself, but you could use whatever you feel like. So I have 1, I have 2, and I have 3. So I have 3 casting speed shards. It equals about 100%, a little bit over 100% because they're all Tau forged. And then for the other 2 shards, these are probably less needed. I just like them. Shield capacity. So 2 of them are going to give me 450 shield capacity. Not really that much. I just kind of like having more shields. Like if you were going to add ability strength shards anywhere, put it over these blue ones first because you really don't need these 2. Like I said, nothing on the Archon shards are actually needed. The yellows are big utilities. It does make it a lot more comfy to cast pillage. And the blue ones are not really needed, but I just like a little bit more shield capacity. Okay. Primary weapon. I'm going to be using Lieutenant Ferox's utility setup. The utility setup makes the Lieutenant Ferox into a 30-second crowd control ability that applies viral. So crowd controls, applies viral, and it locks down an area for 30 seconds. It's one of the 2 weapons in the game that kind of act like pseudo abilities. Now, I know this is a Harrow Prime video, but I'm going to quickly show the utility Ferox, just because I've never actually done a video on the Ferox. So you could build the Ferox out for damage, or you could build the Ferox out for utility. And so, the best way for me to explain this is actually to go to the simulacrum here. I'll try to do this very, very quickly, just because some people might have just joined for the Harrow build. This will be like a little 2-in-1. You get a utility Ferox setup, and you get a Harrow Prime setup. All right, so the Ferox normally, it just shoots like this. And if you build it out for damage, that can be quite good. But we're not going to build it out for damage. We're going to build it out for utility. So let me summon some guys here. And all you got to do is you alt fire. So instead of shooting like we normally did like that, we're just going to alt fire right into the middle. That's it. It sucks them in. It will produce electric procs, which are going to be CCs. And it will start applying viral procs. And it will last for 30 seconds. I never have to touch it again. I can switch to my Angstrom. I can shoot and fight somewhere else. And if I turn around, they're still going there. They're still got their little viral procs on. They got their electric statuses on. And that'll go for 30 seconds. So whenever I'm done fighting on this side, I can turn around and kill these guys. And then all I have to do is switch back to it, and I'll maybe cast it over there. Or maybe there was no enemies there, and I cast it here again. And it's going to do the same thing. So let me show the build real quick for the Ferox. Just quickly go over it. So we're building this as a utility ZDPS Ferox, so no DPS. So we're going to be going for 4 fire rate mods. Vile Acceleration, Speed Trigger, Vigilante Fervor, and Shred or Prime Shred if you have it. So the reason we want fire rate is because fire rate affects the tick rate. Did you hear all those little ticks that were going? How it was applying statuses and doing things? Fire rate affects that. So you want as much fire rate as humanly possible. Man, if you even got a Riven with fire rate, put it on here. So next we're going to go for Rifle Aptitude because we want all those little ticks to have more of a chance to produce the statuses. Next we're going to go with Continuous Misery to give those statuses more status duration. Because without status duration, the virals, they start falling off, and like the average enemy will only have like 5 or 6 viral procs on them. But with 100% status duration, whenever you go back to that group to finally finish them off, you'll notice that they're all at like 100%, or not 100%, 10 viral stacks. And then finally, in the last 2 slots, we're going with viral because it actually needs to produce viral. And the weapon itself, even though it doesn't show it, the alternate fire produces the electricity status effect. And the electricity status effect gives the CC. It like kind of makes enemies shake in place and not attack you. So terminal velocity makes the projectile a little bit quicker. And the Arcane does not matter because it will probably not come into effect at any point. So the Arcane doesn't matter. I tried to find an Arcane that maybe did something to it, and maybe Fractalized Reset works, but not really. So that's the utility Ferox there. All right, I'm going to go back to Orbiter here. We'll finish showing the rest of the externals that you could add to Harrow. Now, I personally, this is more of a personal taste, but I personally like the Prisma Angstrom as my primary damage source. And it's because the Prisma Angstrom in Karnan has a first evolution that with overshields, you get even more base damage. So you get a crap load of damage out of the Prisma Karnan if you can have overshields. Well, Harrow specializes in that, so that's no problem. So Prisma and Karnan, or Prisma Angstrom is like basically Harrow's weapon, or Hildren, I guess. Like Harrow and Hildren are like the best candidates to use the Prisma Angstrom. So I'm not going to go over the build. I made a whole video on this, so if you're interested in the Prisma Angstrom, go ahead and take a gander at that. For melees, there is not really a melee that super combos with it. I went with the Argo and Veil just because it combines with my Fashion Frame, but that's really the only reason. I'm going to show you something that kind of combos with it, but I don't think you should use it. The Furax Wraith. So the Furax Wraith is the only thing that really combos well with Harrow, or with the Prisma Angstrom, I should say. So let me back up a bit. The Furax combos with your secondary, and because I'm using the Prisma Angstrom as my primary damage source, that's why the Furax combos with it. And it's because of a mod on it called Amalgam Furax Body Count, which is plus 45% fire rate to secondary weapons. So it's a fire rate mod for your secondary weapon that's on your melee. So you don't have to... it's like a free mod slot, basically, on your secondary weapon. Now, the reason I'm not going to use it is because the Prisma Angstrom already shoots quickly. Harrow's 2 makes you shoot even quicker. And so like I feel like he would be shooting too fast. I'd be wasting ammo with the Furax Wraith. So my pick is just the stupid Fashion Frame pick, basically. But as you know, Fashion Frame will beat out actual efficiency. So, and then in the Focus School, Vazarin is going to be the best choice for Harrow. And it's because of a node called Mending Unity. It's the first node. Increases affinity radius by 25 meters. And if we go back to his abilities here, because this confuses some people as well. Harrow's second ability, Penance, and his fourth ability, Covenant, are not affected by range. Range does nothing to them. The only way to increase the range of Covenant and Penance is affinity range. Their range is based on affinity range and not modded range. So by using Vazarin and by having that passive, you're actually boosting out Covenant's range and Penance's range. Of course, you're going to be affected regardless. So if you want to be kind of an asshole Harrow, you don't really have to use Vazarin. You can pick another Focus School, and your teammates will be none the wiser, so that's okay. But if you want to be a helpy helperton Vazarin and make sure everyone gets affected by your stuff, use Vazarin. For a pet, there's not a great combo. There's not like a super needed combo for Harrow. I'm going to go with an Adarza Kavat that increases critical chance by a flat 60%. I think it's either 50 or like 1/3 of the time. It might be a 50% uptime on it. It's not 100% uptime, similar to like to Harrow's 4. It's not 100% uptime, but I think the Adarza Cavet's about a 50% uptime. And then he also has a mod. It's not specific to Adarza, but he has a mod that increases your crit damage multiplier on your Warframe by 1.2, which that is very, very good for Harrow, because you're getting a lot of crit chance. Well, now you need crit damage. So that's why Adarza combos really well there. So that's pretty much it for the Harrow build. I'm going to show this with... I'm going to show this on Lewis Circulus, which is level 180 to 200 enemies. They are mixed enemies, so not just all Grineer. And it's going to have Thraxus too, which are kind of like higher level enemies. Now with Harrow, there is an order that needs to be pressed. If you screw this order up, you could kill yourself. And it all comes down to his penance, his ability that slaps himself in the back. Let me clear these enemies first. Stole my weapon. So it's the ability that slaps himself in the back. So if you just go ahead and do this and slap yourself in the back, you have no more shields. I mean, my shields are recharging now, but the higher you go in Steel Path, things can one-shot you. And so after you slap your back, your shields are gone. You're not shield gating, so you could easily die. So before you slap your back, you really need to be using your 4 to make yourself invincible. Slap your back, and then press your 1, which is Pillage, to restore your energy. Of course, you're going to need enemies around you to restore your energy, so I can't restore it now. But that's kind of like the order. You only want to do the penance, the ability where you slap your back, when you are safe, when you can actually like get the invulnerability from Covenant. So, all right, I'm just going to use this to restore some energy, and we'll start this up. Let's use Thurible. I find like going up to 20 is good enough. That's really all I need there. Get in the habit of pressing Pillage often, even when you don't think you need it. Just because on higher content, you could die very quickly. I like to press Pillage like once every like 5 to 10 seconds. I'll press Pillage. I try to use Covenant on cooldown. The only time you really want to hold Covenant is when the Acolyte is coming. You know he's coming because the lights have flickered. And maybe you had the opportunity to press Covenant, but maybe just wait until he comes out. Then press Covenant. That way you're invulnerable. That's the only time I would hold on pressing Covenant. Otherwise, I would just go ahead and slam it out. So my penance is getting low, so I'm going to do the invulnerability. Then I'm going to slap myself, and then I'm going to Pillage. And now by the time I'm not invulnerable anymore, I'm going to get my... why do I have my Ferox out? Oh, it's because he stole my Angstrom. I hate these little guys. They steal your weapons. I'm not completely married to the Prisma Angstrom with Harrow. I think it's very strong on Harrow. I think he's a prime candidate to use it. But I think there could be other weapons that are also really good combos with Harrow. He would love a weapon that has super, super high critical damage. I think there are a few Incarnans that get crazy crit damage numbers. I want to say the Bratton could be one of them. If you know in the comments, make sure you let me know. That could be a really good combo with Harrow. He wants crit damage, but it has to be a weapon that can get headshots. So it's got to be crit damage and a weapon that is somewhat okay at getting headshots. I don't like spending too much time in Thurible. I like to go to 20, and that's about it. I feel like that's really all you need. 20 to 40. Don't go past 40. Like, 20 to 40 is fine. I see people sometimes with Thurible going up to like 100 and 200. It's like, what are you doing? You're spending so much time in Thurible, swinging your little friggin' thingy around where you could have been getting kills. Just go to 20 or 40 and start killing. You'll get as much energy because you will have stopped it. Okay, so I need to cast Penance now, but my Covenant is down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to preemptively cast Pillage, and now I'm going to Penance, and by the time Pillage hits me back, I'll be full. So now I'm full again. So if at any point you need to re-Penance, but maybe you screwed up and you didn't like fill it up when you had your invulnerability up, like I did there, just make sure you Pillage first and then Penance. Pillage, give it a few seconds, and then Penance. Oh, this is Mania. He has Zephyr's buff, so you can't shoot him with hit scan weapons. They bounce off of him. Go to my Arguin Veil here. We'll get him down. He's dead. Yeah, I think the Bratton is a weapon that has a very high crit damage. I think there's an evolution that makes it go super high. So that could be a good option. I haven't done a video on the Bratton yet, and my Bratton build is from, like, my Bratton Incarnate build is from whenever the Incarnates came out, like a year-ish ago. So it's a little bit old. So whenever I do the Bratton video, I'll like do a deep dive into it and find more information on it. But if you know ahead of time if it has a really good crit chance or crit damage, make sure you let me know, and that might make me switch my my Harrow weapon to a Bratton. Oh my goodness, the Rat Black aim. The Rat Black aim is unreal. I'm actually out of energy. Oh, my aim on the Rat Black is horrendous. Let's head and get a couple life sports here. See if any of these guys drop some little ones. They didn't. We're doing pretty good here. I figure we'll do 20 minutes just to show off Harrow, and you can kind of get a gist of like how I'm doing my rotations with my abilities. So I'm going to cast Covenant. My Penance is getting kind of low, so while I'm invincible here, I'm going to do Penance, and then I'll cast Pillage so I can replace my shields before my invulnerability ends. The times you die on Harrow are going to be when you screw that up. When you Penance, when you don't have invulnerability available, or if you didn't like preemptively Pillage, because Pillage will not instantly give you shields. Pillage has to like go out, hit enemies, strip armor and shit, and then it's going to come back and give you shields. So it doesn't immediately happen. So in the cases where Covenant is not up, this is Malice. He put the mag bubble on me, so I think I just rolled it off. Oh, I got my Ferox out again. You know what? Bam. There we go. We'll show off the Ferox off. There we go. I could CC those enemies there. They were annoying. Now, Malice is in this group somewhere. I see his little red dot over there. All right, he's dead. See, the Ferox is still working. It's holding all those enemies in that area there. As you've seen, I don't use the Ferox too much, but maybe you like it more. Maybe you'll use it a little bit more than I do. I like using the Ferox as my primary, only because I'm not going to use anything else. Like the Prisma is pretty much my main weapon. There's really no reason for me to have another primary weapon, so my primary might as well be a utility pick. So here, I'll throw the Ferox right here. It'll kind of sit in that doorway, and anyone that tries to come into that doorway is going to get sucked in. Get a penance, and then I'm going to pillage. Covenant, penance, pillage. That's the combo. And then Thurible, you just cast whenever it goes down. Whenever it goes down, you recast Thurible. If you've noticed, though, Penance has a ridiculously long duration. So you don't actually need to Penance on every Covenant. You can if you want. Like, if it's just easier for you to remember to cast Penance when you do that, that's fine. But you don't technically need to. Try to get this Thrax down. All right, head to the next set of life sports. There, we should be topped off. We're going to try to meet the enemies halfway. I think I came from this way. I'm not really sure. The enemies, they don't really respawn, so they have to like walk from wherever you left them. I think I left them down here. Maybe I didn't. There's a lot behind me now. Lua Conjunction, you fight with the spawns half the time. Half the time you go out of air, not because, you know, you suck, just because the spawns are absolute trash. So I need Penance again, so I'm going to Covenant, and then Penance. I'm out of energy, though. I need a little bit more from Thurible. If we could actually get some enemies to start coming in this room here, it'd be nice. Looks like violence is coming. Kind of chasing life sports right now just because of the spawns. The main group of enemies never even made it into that last room that I came in for the last group of life sports. So I'm hoping this room might be a little bit different. We'll see. I see enemies down here. Yeah, we'll fight down here. It's like doorways. Doorways are a really good place to throw that Ferox down. It'll just kind of scoop everyone up. There's a lot of other kind of utility ways you can build Harrow too. Like there's you could build them for nuking for like ESO. Just like if you wanted to help people get levels, you can do that. But I found this build to be the best for endurance content. That Drakmaster was about to steal my weapon. I saw him. I need penance again, so I'm going to slap my back after I did that. Yes, pillage. See how quick the abilities are, though? Without those casting speed shards, it's a little bit annoying. And, like, we've been able to have pillage full strip since, like, 3 minutes into the game. So, like, you don't need to start with the ability for pillage to fully strip. It's okay. Like, you can do that if it'll affect your other stuff, like through ability strength. But, like, don't switch power drift to coaction drift. Don't not use casting speed shards just to put on strength shards, just so it could strip. You know, don't sacrifice your utility just for that one ability to be useful in the first 2 minutes, unless for some reason you're only doing content that's like 5 minutes long. Maybe you're only doing content that's you know, captures or exterminates and stuff. And in that case, I guess so. But if I had made the concession of not using casting speed shards and instead just using 5 red ability strength shards so that pillage could armor strip in the first 2 minutes of the game, like this part of the game would feel a lot worse because my abilities would all be very long casts. Something else that we're not really showing here is that Harrow's a really good team player. He gives a lot of energy to his teammates. You can give lifesteal, of course, if you put Vazarin on. You don't have to though, because everything will technically affect you regardless. But if you want your teammates to get the buffs, you might want to put Vazarin on to help them out. Let's head to that next set of life sports. We'll fight there, and that'll probably be the end of the video. Oh my goodness, these are far away. The enemies are going to take forever to get over here. I was like, what map should I do this on? Maybe Lewis Circulus. Maybe I won't have spawning issues this time. Never. I always have spawning issues. All right, let's get Thurible work in. 26, that's good enough. Let's throw a Ferox down there. That is Angst. He's the Valkyr Acolyte. He was the Valkyrie Acolyte. Oh, see, I kind of made a mistake there. I wasn't pressing pillage. I probably could have died there pretty easily. Try to get in the habit. I don't play Harrow very often, so I kind of get out of my habit sometimes, unfortunately. I switch my Warframes around. But if you want to play Harrow consistently, make sure you get in the habit of pressing pillage like every 5 to 10 seconds. Like, even if you don't need it, press it 5 or 10 seconds. Because there might be a situation where you do need it. And it's not going to work immediately. You know, it takes a little bit of time for it to go out and then come back to you. And you can afford pressing it because you have such a quick casting speed with 3 yellow shards that you can definitely afford it. You can afford to press it whenever the hell you want. Oh, I need penance again. I noticed I was like, my weapon's pretty slow. I need penance. Okay, there we go. Staggering the hell out of myself with that angstrom. Got about 5 seconds, then we'll have the Thraxes coming. Let's get that going. Let's get another pillage out there, and we'll fight Thraxes. Alrighty. 20 minutes. Let's head to extract here. That's 1,468 kills. He doesn't get a lot of kills due to his abilities. His abilities are more like buffs. He's more of like a gun platform frame, and his abilities give you a lot of buffs to your gun. So that's why it's important to pick a nice gun for him. I like to pick Prisma Angstrom, but feel free to tell me in the comments if you think you would pick a different one. Especially one that it could still get headshots, but it's got a crazy crit damage buff. That's really what I'm looking for. It's what I'm looking for. But, I mean, I'm happy with the Prisma Angstrom. I'm just not completely married to it yet. So yeah, that's how to build Harrow out. Hope you guys liked it. If you liked it, consider giving it a like. If you haven't subbed yet, consider subbing or tell me what I can do to earn your sub. And thanks so much, guys. I hope you guys liked it, and you guys have a good day. Bye.